Thank you very much. Well, good morning, everybody. I am excited to be here this morning. The opportunity to share some thoughts with y'all. Some of you may have heard me before, and you know that I don't feel qualified to preach, but I can share with you some of my thoughts. And today I'd like to share some of the thoughts and ideas I've had this week in response to this reading. So Gary just read the scripture passage, and it ends with, well, who is this guy? Who does this guy think he is? Even the winds and the waves obey him. You know, I can hear Peter turning and going, well, who is this guy? Who does he think he is? You know, the life of Jesus was filled with people asking the same question, that very same question, trying to figure out who he is. Who is this guy? And Jesus tells them, I am the way, the truth, and the life. The truth. So Jesus repeatedly tells the disciples, he tells everyone that he is the truth, that he's here to testify to the truth, to witness to the truth. To know my words is to know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. The truth. I've read that Jesus refers to the truth 33 times in the book of John alone. So we know who this guy is, who Jesus is. He is the truth. Now, Victor Hugo said that nothing is more powerful than an idea whose time has come. I remember reading that and thinking, that's it. That is so profound. That is exactly right. Nothing can stop an idea whose time has come. Well, maybe it's just semantics, but I'd now argue that the truth, when the truth gets out, when the truth is known, nothing is more powerful than the truth. So what is truth? Well, it's none other than Pontius Pilate himself that perhaps most famously asks, what is truth? You know, I don't think he's doing this as the original postmodernist. I don't think he's philosophically saying, well, what is true anymore? What's not true anymore? Kind of thing. I think he was sincerely asking, what is truth? Or he was a governor general of the world. He was a leader of the world. He thought he had it all figured out. But that day he met Jesus, I think he was seeing that he had missed out on something in life. Much like Detective Javert from Les Mis, he had lived his life in a singular pursuit of what he thought was true and right. Pilate didn't know what to make of Jesus. To paraphrase Jack Nicholson's character, he couldn't handle the truth. You know, it was too much for him. The truth challenged his history, and he wouldn't, or he couldn't, accept it. So now back to the very important question, what is truth? Jesus is the truth. And while he tells us that the truth will set you free, what are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to act? What are we supposed to do with the truth? Now, I'm one of those types of people that doesn't always get the hints, if you know what I mean. If something's important and something's meaningful, I prefer you just come right on out and tell me. Thankfully, Jesus does just that. He makes it crystal clear, and he tells us that the greatest commandments, the most important things to do, are to love God and to love your neighbor. And we know that. And since Jesus came to us over 2,000 years ago, he, the truth, changed the world forever. We now know how much better life is with God in it, how much fuller life is when you obey the truth, how much brighter life is when you love God and you love your neighbor, how Jesus and his spirit of truth, they fill us up and they inspire us, how it lights us up. And while we know that, we get to that point in our own ways. Jesus says, if you look for me, you will find me. You will find me in the power of truth. And it seems that that's the same way for mankind. Truth comes when we look for it. About 500 years ago, Martin Luther, he rocked the church and he changed the world with his 95 Theses, his 95 truths. He nailed them to the door of the church, and he challenged the church to tell them that they were not true. He was labeled a heretic, and he had to go into hiding. Well, it so happens that the Gutenberg Bible and the printing press had just come along, and that the people, the masses, were able now to read and to know what Luther was proclaiming. They were able to read and understand the truth for themselves. And voila, we have the Protestant Reformation. And here we are today. We're continuing that Reformation. We're getting to read the Bible. We're sharing worship. We're continuing in our pursuit and exploration of the truth. We're being true disciples. You know, Paul has got some great books and materials in his office there. And there's one author I particularly enjoy, William Barclay. And he says that discipleship involves constant penetrating into the truth. And he writes that no one can hear or read the words of Jesus once and then say he understands their full meaning. To remain in the Word of Jesus means constantly to study and think about what he said until more and more of its meaning becomes clear. In more recent history, we're aware of other pursuits of truth, of other questions and struggles we've had with truth, with the power of truth. Galileo was denounced and banned in the early 1600s. He thought the sun was the center of the universe. I read that it wasn't until 1835 that the Catholic Church removed him from the list of prohibitive books, sort of things. There were questions of truth during the late 1600s, witch hunts and hangings. And we all know this one. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. Our founding fathers loudly declared this to the world in 1776. And didn't they then, just a few years later, ratify a constitution with a clause of inequality? Something about 3/5 of all other persons? And then the Civil Rights Act. Well, that didn't come along for almost another 200 years. What goes up must come down, right? I wonder what Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin think of that truth. And I've got some memories of Watergate back in the early 70s. And the strongest one I have of that is that once the truth got out, once the truth of the president's involvement was known, there was no stopping it. So I've had this week, I'm thinking about truths and what's true and not, and I come across these words. The old man turned off the radio, said, "Where did all the old songs go? Kids sure play funny music these days. They play it in the strangest ways." Said, "It seems to me like they've all gone wild. It was peaceful back when I was a child. Well, man, could it be that the girls and boys are trying to be heard above your noise? And the lonely voice of youth cries, 'What is truth?' A little boy of 3 sitting on the floor looks up and he says, 'Daddy, what is war?' 'Son, that's when people fight and die.' The little boy of 3 says, 'Daddy, why?' A young man of 17 in Sunday school, being taught the golden rule. And by the time another year's gone round, it may be his turn to lay his life down. Can you blame the voice of youth for asking, 'What is truth?' A young man sitting on the witness stand. The man with the book says, 'Raise your hand. Repeat after me, I solemnly swear.' The judge looked down at his long hair. And although the young man solemnly swore, nobody seemed to hear anymore. And it didn't really matter if the truth was there. It was the cut of his clothes and the length of his hair. And the lonely voice of youth cries, 'What is truth?' The young girl dancing to the latest beat has found new ways to move her feet. The young man speaking in the city square, he's trying to tell somebody that he cares. Yeah, the ones that you're calling wild are going to be the leaders in a little while. This old world's waking to a newborn day, and I solemnly swear that it'll be their way. You better help the voice of youth find what is truth." Well, that's a Johnny Cash song called "What is Truth" from 1970. 1970. Here, I thought for sure this had to be about today. I mean, Lord knows the difficulties I've got with today's music. I mean, what happened to the Beatles and the Beach Boys? Some of the clothes people are wearing nowadays. How about that? You know, and I know CNN has got a continuously updating website that's got information on the over 8,000 U.S. and coalition deaths that have happened in Iraq and Afghanistan since 2001. But that was Johnny Cash back in 1970. Turns out I was in that 3 to 23 range of youth back then. I was one of those youth crying out for the truth. And the way it sounds, I can't help but wonder if that group of youth, well, really my group of youth, was viewed by the older generation as being the moral decay of the day. And to go back another generation, I wonder if Ed Sullivan saw Elvis as leading the moral decay of his day. PBS had a piece on Elvis and noted that after an appearance on the Milton Berle Show, television critics across the country slammed the performance for its appalling lack of musicality, for its vulgarity and animalism. The Catholic Church takes up the criticism in its weekly organ in a piece headlined, "Beware Elvis Presley." Concerns about juvenile delinquency and the changing moral values of the young find a new target in the popular singer. So after reading that, I can't help but wonder what Ed Sullivan and the others might think about Dancing with the Stars or some of the stuff on now, right? So back to truth. The young folks, they do want to know the truth. They're the ones that are growing and changing, trying to figure out who they are, trying to figure out the world around them. And that baton of leadership, it passes along from adults to young people. And it just sort of happens. There's no annual event. There's no announcement of the changing of the guard. It's constant. It happens all the time. It's fluid. It's natural. And it's the young folks. The young folks are the active agents of change. And we've seen that across the globe in recent years. In Egypt and in Libya, in rallies and petitions for justice. It's happening all over the world. Now, back in Martin Luther's day, it was the printing press that helped. Today it's technology that's driving us onward. And who's doing that? Who are the people pushing the boundaries of technology? Well, it's certainly not me. I mean, I've got a smartphone. I'm pretty sure I don't use it to its full potential. I'm just along for the ride when it comes to technology. It's the younger generation. The younger folks are the ones discovering. They're creating. They're the ones actually producing new knowledge. And I'm very encouraged about the future, about the youth and the young adults of today. Our recent graduates, they inspire me. I've had a chance to be a scout leader and a soccer coach. I've got to spend some time in various roles with a lot of the youth today. And I'm excited by their voice, by their desire. I mean, they're going to Bolivia. They're going to Haiti. They seek knowledge. They thirst for more. Their lights, it burns bright. They are asking, what is truth? And I don't think it's enough for us just to tell them what we think is truth. We have to act it. We have to believe it. We have to live it. Because they're watching. Where does someone learn to hate? Where does someone learn to love? From us. So much as we're constantly supposed to study and think about what Jesus said. We're to help others. We are to help others, particularly the youthful, to penetrate the truth, to penetrate and challenge each other with the words of Jesus. The lonely voice of youth cries, what is truth? It's our responsibility to help them find what is truth. Amen.
Oh, they tell me I'm far beyond the sky, and they tell me I'm far away. Oh, they tell me I'm where the storm clouds lie. Oh, they tell me of a cloudy day. Oh, the land of cloudless day. Oh, the land of cloudy day. Oh, they tell me I'm where the storm clouds lie. Oh, they tell me of a cloudy day. Oh, they tell me of the home where my friends have gone. Oh, they tell me of that land far away, where the tree of life in eternal bloom sheds its fragrance through an uncloudy day. Oh, the land of cloudless day. Oh, the land of an uncloudy day. Oh, they tell me of where the storm clouds lie. Oh, they tell me of an uncloudy day. Oh, they tell me of a king in his beauty there, and they tell me that mine eyes should never behold, where he sits on the throne that is whiter than snow, in the city that's made of gold. Oh, the land of cloudless day. Oh, the land of an uncloudy day. Oh, they tell me of where the storm clouds lie. Oh, they tell me of an uncloudy day. Oh, they tell me that he smiles on his children there, and his smile drives their sorrows away. And they tell me that no tears ever come again in that loving land of uncloudy day. Oh, the land of cloudless day. Oh, the land of uncloudy day. Oh, they tell me of where the storm clouds lie. Oh, they tell me of an uncloudy day. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of I'm gonna let it shine. Shine all over the world. I'm gonna let it shine. Shine all over the world. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Well, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Well, all right. For 2,000 years, we've been seeking the truth, probing and penetrating into the truth. As we fly away today, let the light of truth burn bright. Be a beacon for others. Show the world what is truth. Charles, Lee, fly us on out.
Some clouds falling when this life is over. Too far home, got to miss the shore. I'll fly away, oh, I'll fly away. Yeah.